Hey everyone, welcome to the BizDev podcast by Big Pixel. I'm David Baxter, the Chief Pixel here. I am joined, as always, by Gary Voigt, our head pixel crafter, aka Creative Director. How you doing, Gary?
Hey guys, what's up?
So today I've been reading about more of the Apple stuff because I can't get over it. It
It's
affects our
epic.
clients in a lot of ways, so I keep reading about it, and I'm utterly fascinated by the shop store stuff with Epic and all that. We talked about that some last week about how it matters to a biz owner who's got a mobile app because Apple controls 30% of your revenue, right?
Now this is a new law that is affecting them. That it's
So yeah,
not,
South Korea, which doesn't sound like it should affect us in America, but it absolutely will in the future. To
but
me,
last
this is
time it
like a
was the
no.
EU, right? So it's kind of just broadening over the globe.
Correct. This is why, I mean, I'm not talking about Apple every single week, but right now they are hot and heavy because of all the lawsuits. So
Right.
we have the Epic lawsuit coming out soon, and we'll get to that in a second. And then we now have South Korea just passed a law that says, hey, you have to allow other payment providers. That's a huge deal. That means Apple, in theory, cannot uh, have a monopoly over payment, which would be a huge deal to anybody who has an iOS web app, or not web app, device, and the apps on them. So if you're a business and you have a store inside there, you're wanting to sell a digital widget, instead of losing 30%, now in theory you could have your own Stripe and you wouldn't lose any money in theory. Of course, Apple's going to fight this to the hill, but South Korea did pass this law. And what's newsworthy is, Epic is suing them because they want exactly this. And so they're suing. They're like, hey, based on this new law, we want to put Fortnite back on the iOS store.
Wow.
And Apple said, absolutely not. So here's the kicker. There's nothing in the law that says that Apple has to approve you at all. So they're going to find some other reason to keep Epic out of there until all of this washes out. But this will affect everyone in America within a year or so. There's a lot of laws in America that are trying to do the exact same thing. Will they pass? I have no idea. In this Congress, who has any clue? But it is
Well, with the
coming.
reach and the pull that Apple has, I mean, it seems like they're kind of losing court battles more globally about this than they are here in the U.S. And
Yeah, for
I don't
sure.
know, between this and then another weird thing to segue into an Apple thing is the right to repair thing, that they seem to be losing that chokehold as well. So
Yep. Yeah, they've been using, if you don't know, if you own an iOS device, if you want to repair it, it is very, very difficult. They make it so you have to have specialized screws and you have to have specialized hardware to even open the phones. And then outside of that, they're all glued
you
together.
can't
So they're
even
pretty hard.
download schematics unless you're
Yeah.
an Apple.
Which, I mean, I'll give you that. Schematics, you're trying to protect the integrity of the
Intellectual.
device.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the right to repair is this new thing, and actually the leader of that is John Deere. Have you heard? That's where all this came from.
No,
Is the right to
not
repair
know.
actually is about repairing your tractor on a farm. That's how all this started, because John Deere's been doing the Apple thing forever, right? So if you want to repair your John Deere tractor, right? You're a farmer, you have a $500,000 tractor or combine or whatever you want to call it, you can't repair it on your own. You have to hire a John Deere. Does this sound familiar? You have to hire a John Deere
Holy cow.
certified person, and you can't open up your own big tractor. And of course, farmers are like, this is insane. And so that's where the right to repair actually started, but it's trickling down because Apple's in the thick of it as well.
All right. So didn't mean to tangent there, but back to
Oh, no, that's fine.
the Apple
So
part.
I think from a business perspective, though, this is stuff worth keeping an eye on, which is what we're doing, which is what I enjoy doing because I'm a nerd. But this will affect every single business owner with an app in the Apple Store.
Is it going to
Eventually,
be beneficial, or is it going to be another hoop for them to jump through?
both. You will have to pay extra to have that store built, right? Because your
Right.
developer has got to build it for Apple. Because I promise you, no matter what happens, Apple's still going to require that at least Apple is an option, right? You're not going to just kick Apple out. Just like they do now. If you do any social logins at all on your app, you have to include Apple's social login. It's a requirement. So if you don't want to, you want to do email and password, fine. But as soon as you want to bring in an Apple or a Google button, you got to bring in an Apple button.
So if you're
Um,
signing into any of your apps through your Google ID or Facebook or anything, it's required that you're offering the Apple.
Yeah,
like
you
the
have to have the
iCloud?
new Apple button, and
Okay,
that's not true for existing apps. I mean, if you have already one in the store, they're not going to kick you out. But if
but
you're
all newer
adding them,
ones.
yeah,
Okay,
if you're adding one or something like that, they're going to get really cranky about that. So they're going to do the same thing for payment. Even if, let's say, best case scenario, we pass a law and saying, "Hey, Apple, you have to do this." You, as an app developer business, will have to offer both, and so you're going to have to pay your developers to do both. Initially, yes, that will cost more. However, everyone who signs up with Stripe or PayPal or whatever you want to implement, whatever's allowed to be implemented, let me say that way, whatever that is, you don't lose 30%. So that development is a slam dunk if you think you have enough users. Maybe initially the right way to do it is I'm a small business, I'm not earning $1 million on Apple, so they're not charging me 30%, they're charging me 15%. So maybe that's say, hey, now it's not worth doing a Stripe or whatever. I won't do that for now. I'm going to just do Apple. Okay, that's a fair thing. As you start to grow, you say, I'm starting to really feel this percentage. Let's build it now and spend the hours to develop it. I think that's the future. Um, and you still, I mean, there's just like anything else. If you have multiple logins, you have to maintain that code. They
yeah.
change, etc.
Speaking about the
Um,
payment thing,
yeah.
uh, using Stripe or PayPal as your payment thing and not building your own payment system is still a huge benefit for small businesses when they're putting any kind of
Let me put
product
it this
sales
way:
online, or no?
you can't do it on your own. So
Okay.
okay, let me back up on the payment thing. So I'm old, and I've been doing this a really long time. I built apps before Stripe and those existed, and you had to do PCI compliance and all of that, and you still do to a certain degree. But back then, you had to do a lot more, and that was so horribly complicated and expensive that that's one of the reasons why startups really were smaller than they are now. It wasn't, oh, I have an idea, I'm going to go live with it and have payments and sell my widget. That 15 years ago, that was impossible almost. You had to do servers, you had to buy certificates and all this crazy stuff. And then Stripe came in, and I believe they were the first. I could be wrong on that, but they were one of the very early ones, if nothing else. They came in and totally revolutionized that and make it so that you don't have to deal with PCI compliance hardly at all anymore. They handle all the security. You never see a credit card, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And a lot of devs we find when we're talking to and we're taking over existing stacks, this is a problem. They're not building them right. You still have to do certain things in a certain way to be PCI compliant. I guess I should define that. So PCI compliance is the what's the right word for it? Visa and MasterCard have this process, and if you don't become it and you're in violation of it, they reserve the right to remove your ability to take credit cards. So you can't talk about anything more serious than that for any online business. That kills your business. So
Okay.
if you're not PCI compliant, you're going to go out of business. And we still find people will take over a stack, will take over their existing code base, and they're not PCI compliant at all.
Is
They're
that
staying
usually
very open.
because their initial or existing app was probably built a while back, or is it just because those, since it's changing so frequently, they have to like double check
It's
and
not
make
even
sure?
changing that frequently. I think I'm going to put on my old curmudgeon pants. I think it's because Stripe makes it so easy that the developers don't think they have to do anything.
Do you think developers might not be, I guess, familiar with that? And if they are building apps for people, maybe under experienced developers, they just don't find the need to go and look into what's required there, or how to best
Yeah,
protect the
yeah,
client on
that's
that side.
that's the easiest way to say it. I think nowadays they say, "Oh, I'm just going to do Stripe," and then that's fine.
They
But if
just
you
connect
don't do,
Stripe to the app and then they don't think about where that
yeah, they
information
just don't
needs
think
to go.
about it. A good example of this. It sounds so stupid, and I'm totally getting the weeds here. But if you put a name parameter on the text box that takes the credit card on your site, if you put that in, it's just a name parameter or an ID parameter. If you put that in there, it's specifically name, not ID. That means your server is going to read it. It means your server has access to read it. So when it's passed over, that means your server, even if you're never saving it, but that means very briefly your server saw a credit card number, which is a violation of PCI compliance. Most
It's
devs
supposed
don't
to
know
be
that.
totally hidden between
Yeah.
any eyes
It's,
besides
it's
the
supposed to
apps
be
talking
so
to
that
each other.
Stripe at a high level is basically you put in the credit card number, you type in your 16 digits and all of that. That gets sent to Stripe directly. And that Stripe is not the only one. I mean, Braintree does it. There's a million of these.
We're just using Stripe as the example because it's
Yeah,
probably the
Stripe's the
biggest.
biggest. So you've got You send that over to them and then give you back a token, and that token is what you store in your database, which
And
basically
that
says
token is the encrypted information that cannot be
it's
seen on the server.
yeah, it's not even it's not like it's your credit card number encrypted. It goes to Stripe, they transform it into their own unique thing, and then that's encrypted. So it's like double blind almost.
Yeah, so it's like the
So
secret key to the secret lock.
correct. And if you don't do that, and so if you do that right, that means your server literally never sees the credit card ever,
And
ever,
that's
ever.
compliant.
And that's compliant. If you do it wrong, even if you're not saving it to your database, which you should never do, and we do find that occasionally, but that's usually really old code. But if you even if you're not saving it, if it's even visible to it, you are not PCI compliant. You could get in trouble. We're dealing with that actually right now with a client. But
Yeah, actually, which leads me to bring up the experienced devs or devs that know about that. We're actually having a little bit of a difficult time finding experienced devs that are available, especially for bringing on new devs into the projects we have now. Um, I know this is not payment related, but
no,
just
no, but
in the atmosphere that exists today, and it seems like while devs are in super high demand, there's only a couple of places you can actually find decent devs to work remote. And other than maybe their lack of availability or their lack of experience, what other things are you finding that's kind of disqualifying some of the devs that we're seeing that we're offering these project jobs to? That
yeah. So
we just can't use them or
while you're hiring right now is just a nightmare.
for everybody.
For everybody. It has nothing to do with dev. It's everybody. I have a friend who runs a rose company, and he's hiring people who dig rose gardens and all of that, and
Yeah.
he can't find people for that.
Hospitality
Yeah,
and restaurant
restaurants.
are also hurting very badly.
It just doesn't matter what industry you are. Hiring is a nightmare. Largely, we have like they've been feeling. My friends who have more of the manual labor,
In
like
person.
restaurants and stuff, they've
Yeah.
been having a problem forever. It's worse now, but they've always had this problem. We've kind of in the development space generally have been okay. It's not been that hard. I mean, it's hard, but it's not stupid. Like right now, we're hiring several devs, and we will get into conversations with them. We are chatting with them. We're getting them to do test projects and this, that, and the other to validate that they're awesome. And right in the middle of that, they'll be hired away from us, right from underneath us. It's happened 3 times in the last couple of weeks, which is highly unusual. And I think this is something we're used to dealing with on a certain level as an agency. But if you're trying to manage your own devs
Oh,
or
I
you're
couldn't.
hiring your own devs, I
Right
can't even.
now, no
Yeah.
way. If you didn't have the experience or if you didn't know what to look for as far as just red flags or just common language with the developers, knowing the technology you're talking about, knowing the
Mhm.
requirements for the project, I could see that being a nightmare. It's not like you'll see the ads and the YouTube videos for places like Fiverr and stuff like that, where
Sure.
it's like, hey, you need a developer, the
Yep.
best there is, as cheap as
20
they
bucks.
come. Here's a great success story, and hey, let's get all these YouTubers and influencers to run these, 15-minute videos about them hiring people from Fiverr and everything being awesome. But in the real world, if you have no idea what you're looking for and you're going to Fiverr, you're never going to get what you want. So if you go to other places like Upwork, where there actually are experienced developers, you still need to be able to speak their language, and you need to be able to identify maybe the red flags that you know wouldn't be so great for your project, or you think they might be flaky, you can't really tell, or it could just be a communication issue where if they're on the other side of the world and you need communicating with a 12 to 16 hour difference is just ineffective.
I think the problem with, I mean, we use Upwork. I mean, I'm not shy about that. We absolutely use Upwork to find contractors and stuff. But if you don't know what, like you're saying, if you don't know what you're looking for, this isn't like hiring your receptionist or even a salesperson, where it's about their personality and they're nice people and all of that. They have to have a skill set. And if you can't judge that skill set all by yourself, that's really tough. But what we're finding is there's a lot of that's new. And I say new as in the last year and a half, 2 years. I don't think it has anything to do with the pandemic. It's just
Okay,
coincidence.
so it's not pandemic
This
driven,
isn't pandemic
market
related at
driven.
all. But what we found in the last year or so on Upwork in particular, but I'm sure this is true just about any place you hire a contractor. There's a new, I don't know, process that they're doing. They know you want a US developer. They know that They know that you as a U.S. business person don't want to deal with someone overseas. You're afraid of the language barriers, et cetera. And that's all valid. Um, but now, so you'll go and you'll say, oh, U.S. only. Okay. And you'll find a U.S. only guy. And that guy's a front. He might be in Arkansas or Alabama or New York or wherever, but his team is not. And
Okay,
a
so
lot
he's
of times,
almost like you're talking to the middleman between who's actually doing the work and then who's
correct.
just giving
Yeah,
you the
you're
face
giving
that,
the
hey,
task to a
we're in
middleman.
the U.S.
If you, yeah, so he's checking the box that I'm in the US, but his team is overseas. And that's fine. I don't mind. If you want to work in that way, you can find success that way. I'm not saying that's not possible.
Yeah, I can understand that that team can be efficient, but
Yeah, it can be good. It
also
can
at
work.
face value, it looks a little bit shady.
As long as they're upfront about it, I don't have a problem with it. I mean,
Oh,
we
okay.
run into guys and they're like, hey, I manage a team over in the Ukraine or India or Botswana. It doesn't really matter. I manage a team. I just want you to be upfront. We have guys saying that to us, and we're like, great, thank you for telling me that. We are US only. So we're not going to work with you. But I appreciate your honesty because we'll have some people that we've gone all the way through. We put them vetted. We've done video calls and everything.
Even
And
test codes and stuff.
well, that's where it always falls apart
Okay.
because we're saying, "Hey, dude, let's write some code together." We're pair programming with them, and they're like, and they start to really they start not showing up to the meetings, et cetera, and then that's the flags
And it
because we
is
make some code.
necessary in today's world to do either pair coding or I wouldn't say test as in like a free work. You're not actually trying to get someone to
We pay
solve the
them for
problem for free.
the test.
But yeah, if
Yeah,
you give them a bug test or something and you pay them for their time. But I mean, that is an efficient way to weed out some of the other underdeveloped devs or devs that just don't have the experience, which as a business owner, if you're not hiring a team that can actually do that for you or vet these developers, if you're just going out on your own trying to do that, how in the world are you going to
you've got to
find
have a
out if
CTO.
they're
The
yeah,
only way that works is you got a CTO, and if you do, that's magically delicious. That's awesome. You can
and then
make that happen.
CEO would actually have to find a way to vet
Yeah,
these
and
developers.
that's where we find a lot of people. It's like, oh, I'll go and hire a dude, and that'll be a topic that comes up over and over. Hiring a dude,
A dude just
um,
means a single contractor for a
single
random.
developer to do some work for you. That is right now our bread and butter is taking over projects from a dude, and that it's just it can work for a while, but eventually you run into a wall. But generally speaking, I'm hiring a dude, so I am a guy who's not technical, so I'm going to judge that dude or dudette purely on the ability to converse with me and sound intelligent because that's the only tools I have in my bucket, right?
Right.
I'm an intelligent business owner,
They
and
can
so
tell
I'm going to
you.
talk to you.
They can also tell you what they've done in the past, and you can go check on that. But you have no real proof.
Well, sure, I can tell you I built Amazon.com. How am I going to prove that? I mean, especially if you're non-technical, right? I mean, if I'm a technical guy, I'm going to say, okay, prove it. Let me see your GitHub. Let me go. Well, and then the other trick that they'll do is, well, I was under NDA, so I can't show you that code. Fair.
Okay,
You
well,
should
to be
honor your
fair,
NDAs, but you got to
as a
have something to
designer,
show me.
as a
Yeah.
designer, I've had a lot of projects that were on NDA that I couldn't show people, and it's always embarrassing when they say like, "Oh, hey, what have you done lately? Do you have anything?" And I'm like, "I can't show you what I've done lately, so
Yeah.
just trust me."
Yeah. But if you're hiring yourself out, you need to have a portfolio of work that is open, right?
Right,
That's you've
right,
got to have something you can show me because I can't believe you. Oh, you built Amazon all by
yeah.
yourself? Oh yeah. I can't show it to you. Oh, come on. I mean, that's what you
So
find a lot of.
when you were saying earlier that they were getting hired out from underneath you during like the vetting process,
Yeah.
what do you think the turnaround for like? Do you think there's? Or let me ask this a different way. What are the options they're being given that are going to make them lean one direction or the other? Do you think right now there's enough demand that they're able to pick and choose between maybe least amount of work for highest amount of pay, least amount of time, highest amount of pay, easy to coast by? Or do you think there's still developers out there that kind of want to get involved with a team that might be in their line of what they want to do and present them with more work if they do a good job to where they're not looking for that single freelance job here and there where they might want to be, quote unquote, a full-time contractor or at least a preferred contractor in a group that's going to keep feeding them work and help them level up their skills.
What we are finding is it's getting more and more common. And I don't mean to trash younger millennials or what is the new one? Zoomers. My son is a Zoomer.
What?
But I'm not trashing them as a generation or anything. But I will say that we are finding younger people, say under 30, who want to work as little as possible. That doesn't mean they're not hard workers. Don't get me wrong. What I'm saying is they have done the math in their budget to say, all I need is 20 hours a week to work. And that's all I need to work to pay for everything I want. Right.
Right.
And so they're going to work hard for those 20 hours. But if you say, hey, I need you for 30 or 40, they're not interested at all. And that's because this work-life balance to them is now everything. And again, I'm not against that. We hire guys and we know that the cap is 20 hours. But that is a difference. You find some devs are just gimme. I want 60 hours, load me up, let's go. And those are great too. We love those people. But there's less and less of those. I find that, and they're of course, like the ones you're saying, there are some people who are just lazy and they want the most money for the least work. That's pretty rare though. Most devs that we are talking to, they want to work hard. They want to challenge themselves. By definition, developers are problem solvers and they get excited. Their high, as it were, is solving problems and being challenged. This is how their brain works. And so those still exist. They're still out there. You got to find them because there's also, and this has always been true, but there's always the guy who just wants the paycheck.
Yeah. But when you're working with an agency that already has a small team and they're hiring contracts, does the environment, the culture, and the enthusiasm of the existing team working with that contractor also seem to be a boost for them? In other words,
the reason why I say no is they're used to being lone wolves. Right?
So it's not that they're looking to, have any kind of social interaction with other devs or leaders on that.
Sometimes they do.
Joining, they just want the job and in and out.
I mean, I think that can be either. We've hired guys who absolutely want to work with a group, 100%, and they are very upfront about that. But most especially if you're hiring a contractor, contractor is a guy or a gal who works alone and they kill it, drag it back to their cave, and that's it, right? They're doing the whole thing. So they're not used to having a designer to make them assets. They're not used to having a tester. They're used to doing it all by themselves. So that is something we have to train and work on with our teams to say, hey, you're with a group now. We have testers. We have designers. You don't have to do this alone.
We could actually make your life a little easier.
Yeah, our job is to make it more easier. Because if you are a developer, you probably don't want to spend 3 hours cropping images. That probably to you is like nails on a chalkboard.
Right.
When our designers that's a good day, right? I mean, we want to find people who do what they do extremely well. And every business owner wants this. It's just that's something we find that if you're a lone wolf, that we have to break that habit from you a little bit. And we use Slack. We're purely remote. So we use Slack to have everyone communicate. But a lot of these guys never speak. And we have to pull them out of their shell as we start trusting them more and more. And we're thinking about hiring them full time. That's a big thing.
The whole managing a remote team, that's a gigantic topic that's been covered 1 trillion times by
and I'm sure we will
9 billion blog articles and everything else. So
yeah, I mean, that's something we can talk about forever. Not today, but I could talk about remote work and the challenge of running a remote team all day. And we should talk about that in the future.
One more thing we should talk about today. Did you see
I want to get your thing, the Ray-Bans.
The glasses,
Yes.
The Facebook glasses. Okay,
so now they don't look Facebook glasses.
I think they don't look as Star Trek as the the Google Glass when that came out.
Oh,
they're really trying to push for the designer style and the aesthetic, so it doesn't look like you're wearing spy glasses, but at the same time, you're still just wearing spy glasses, man. Now, as far as the tech goes inside, what
the tech is there. Hold on one second. So The Verge, which is one of my favorite podcasts, they have a ratio that they've been perfecting. I think I'm going to say this wrong, but it's the Dill hole ratio.
Or is it the douchebag ratio?
It's something like that. Yeah. So basically it's
how douchey
or how bad do you look with said technology versus how functional it is. It's like this 1-to-1 ratio. I love it.
pardon the term, but when the Google Glass came out, anybody using them were referred to as glass holes.
Yeah, well, and for good reason.
Yeah,
But yeah, you're right. So it's kind of an extenuation of, or that's the wrong word. I just butchered that. But it is a continuation of that concept. So to me, on that ratio, these Facebook glasses are awesome,
yeah,
right?
they look
They look good.
they look like the classic Ray-Ban Wayfarers, which are again as classic as blue jeans, leather
Hmm.
jackets, red cars, whatever.
But now
And
you've
those
got a
are all
camera on them.
American, terminologies, but still, it's
Well, so just for those who've never seen or read an article about this, these are basically Ray-Ban glasses with a little camera in them, and you can
you can
record stuff
control
to your
them.
phone.
Yeah, to your phone. There's even, I guess, a taptic button they're putting on the glasses, like how AirPods work, or
Yeah,
any
you can
in-ear
slide your.
Bluetooth. Yeah, you could either tap, press, or slide your finger to start these functions. Now the cameras are very tiny. The quality, I guess, is a 5 megapixel per camera, is what I saw. I
Which
could be,
is fine.
yeah, but the videos I saw, it looks like the aspect ratio is not landscape or portrait; it's just square,
Which is strange. But
which
to
is
me,
very
the
strange.
specifics don't matter. To me, it's still the is the world ready to have cameras staring at you all the time?
They kind of already are, but
Well,
this
I mean,
is giving people the ability to have a camera staring at you all the time and post it wherever they want.
but right now, if I go into a schmoozer, a network schmoozer, or a business meeting or whatever, I still believe that the expectation is that my privacy is intact. That if I'm someone's got a phone up, it's very clear they're recording me. But that's a
Right.
very
Yeah.
obvious thing. Now you don't have, at least right now, the people aren't thinking I might be that guy staring at me right now might be recording me.
Yeah. If they're 40 feet away and you can't, like, there's no red light on the camera or anything,
They
so
have
you
a little
can't
white
tell.
light on that little spectacle. There
The
is
white light, though, I mean,
it's
at
super
first,
subtle.
yeah.
I just don't think we're there as a culture, and I mean this worldwide, not even U.S. Worldwide, I don't think we're ready to have cameras in your face all the time. That would be my hunch.
I
Would you
think
agree or disagree?
it's not so much the cameras in your face. Like for the younger generation, they probably, like, between being on their phones and recording everything and just the whole camera and social thing with TikTok and Snapchat and everything. I think that's not going to be as big of a problem until they start seeing things posted from other people where they had no idea they were even in this video. Like the privacy thing is going to be when it's posted, not when it's recorded.
I mean, the next thing that the holy grail of this is I walk into a room and AR,
And a heads up
augmented,
display, yeah,
yeah, it
and
starts putting a
augmented.
display of everyone's. I know this is Gary, and he works at Big Pixel, and he has daughters, and he's married for X. I mean, this is coming, right?
Yeah,
Because it's
any
all in your
information you
public
put out
sphere.
there for your profile is going to be fed into these glasses so that you
That
have an
is
Iron Man
that to
type
me.
heads up display.
I
That's
hope
pretty
I
cool.
am. I'm no, I don't want that at all. I want to be. I'm the old curmudgeon who no. I mean, I love the idea of it. It's very Star Trekky, but
Yeah, Minority
that is
Report.
the ultimate privacy invasion. I mean, holy cow! You walk into a room and everyone knows your name, your background,
Yeah,
your
and
likes
the
and
only
dislikes.
reason this is ever built, it's not for what they're telling you that it's built for. It's so they can sell ads to you right in your eyeball during the day, like Minority Report. You walk by a certain section in the neighborhood, and it's all of a sudden, boom, vanilla chai
Yeah.
latte in your face on sale right there. Just take
Ooh,
a right. It's right there. Gary, we know
I
you
want a
want it
chai.
based on your history of buying coffee. No,
I do think it's cool. I will say, I think the last statement I will make on this, or at least for this week, is if it was any company but Facebook, I might be more interested.
yeah, I don't see how Facebook is going to launch this without a gigantic amount of pushback for privacy concerns, especially with what just happened the last year and a half, where they've proven themselves to be lying about what they quote unquote check and double check for whether it's factual information or harmful information. I mean, it's pretty much just been found out already that anything they say they're double checking and trying to alleviate as harmful information, like they're just not, because they're seeing it increases, I guess,
Money.
what's the, well, yeah, but a post that has disinformation targeted to the right group of users generates 6 times the amount of engagement as factual information.
Sure, sure.
So
Well, but
it's
I think
not
even
in their best
outside of that,
interest to stop that stuff.
I think Facebook has proven that they could care less about privacy.
Exactly. So
And so
something like
you're
this.
wanting
Let's give you an anti-privacy pair of video recording glasses launched
right.
by the most anti-privacy company on the planet, and hey, all smiles, Zuckerberg's happy.
Yeah. It's going to be good. Yeah. I mean, because in time, even if it's just a camera, they're going to be scanning everything and they're going to be knowing, oh, this
All the
guy
data. Yeah.
buys, Coca-Colas. And so we're going to make sure that next time he's on Facebook, he's got a Coca-Cola ad. Because
Now
I saw that in your glasses.
the
That's
glasses connect to your phone. Right now, it creates a Wi-Fi connection to them. I guess Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, but all that information, just recording from the video to your phone, is all going through the Facebook hub. It's not just loading
Yep.
into your
And
whatever default photos or video app is. No.
and you don't know what they're doing with it after that. That's the kicker. I mean, maybe the glasses themselves right now cannot analyze what you're looking at, but that video is being saved on your phone, which is being sent to Facebook's servers. And then the truth is, you have no idea what happens after that. I mean, good, bad, or ugly, you don't know what that's doing. So, I don't know. It's interesting tech. Was it Snapchat did it originally, the spectacles, and those got blowback. But the Facebook, I think this thing's dead in the water because it's Facebook. That's just my opinion. We'll see.
Yeah.
I think on that note, it's time to wrap this guy up. Hopefully, you guys got some useful information out of us, rambling for the last half hour.
What are you talking about? You're
else?
a wealth of knowledge.
Wealth of knowledge. I'm a wealth of something.
We got so much
if
more
there's
to
any
cover.
topics you guys want us to cover in the future, let us know, and we will try to cover them. But in the meantime, we will get out of your hair, and we will see you next time. Thanks so much.
And this is the BizDev podcast by Big Pixel.
Or
is it from Big Pixel?
I don't know.
All
I don't know yet. All right. See y'all.
Later.